Imagine a cosmic struggle, a battle for the ages where the very fabric of the universe hangs in the balance. In the beginning, there was Uranus, the sky, and Gaia, the earth. From their union sprang forth the Titans, but Uranus, fearing their power, imprisoned them deep within Gaia. Anguished, Gaia plotted revenge, crafting a mighty sickle and seeking one of her Titan sons to wield it. Only Cronus, the youngest and most ambitious, dared to rise to the challenge. With a swift, decisive strike, he castrated Uranus, seizing control of the cosmos and ushering in a new era ruled by the Titans. Welcome to the world of Cronus, king of the Titans, a figure of immense power, terrifying ambition, and ultimately tragic destiny. In this video, we will explore 25 fascinating legends surrounding this pivotal figure in Greek mythology, from his rise to power and the golden age he ushered in, to his ultimate downfall and banishment. Prepare to delve into a realm of gods and monsters, prophecies and betrayals, as we uncover the enduring legacy of Cronus, a king who swallowed his own children, a ruler whose story continues to echo through the ages. Now let's journey into the heart of our first legend, detailing Cronus's pivotal act of rebellion against his father, Uranus. This wasn't merely a power grab, it was a cosmic upheaval orchestrated by Gaia, the earth, deeply wounded by Uranus's imprisonment of her Titan offspring. She yearned for her children to roam freely and plotted to overthrow Uranus, crafting an adamantine sickle, a symbol of unyielding strength and irresistible force. Yet fear gripped the Titans, and only Cronus, fueled by ambition and resentment, dared to accept Gaia's call to arms. The moment arrived when Uranus descended to embrace Gaia. Cronus, hidden in the shadows, unleashed the sickle's power, castrating his father with a single, decisive blow. As Uranus's blood rained upon the earth, it birthed the giants, the Erinyes or Furies, and the Meliae, the ash tree nymphs, each a testament to the violence of the act and the dawn of a new cosmic order. This act of patricide wasn't just about overthrowing a tyrannical ruler. It was a symbolic severing of the old order, paving the way for the rise of the Titans and Cronus's ascension to the throne of the cosmos. Cronus, now the supreme ruler, inherited the mantle of cosmic power, but also the seeds of future conflict and betrayal. As the new sovereign, Cronus's reign began, but not without the echoes of Uranus's curse reverberating through the cosmos, setting the stage for the tumultuous era of the Titans. The second legend unveils the ascendancy of Cronus and his siblings, the Titans, to cosmic dominance. With Uranus vanquished, Cronus didn't act alone. He shared his newfound power with his Titan brethren. These weren't mere siblings, they were powerful entities, each embodying fundamental aspects of the universe. Oceanus, the Titan of the great earth-encircling river Oceanus, Coeus, representing intelligence and far-sightedness, Creus, a pillar of stability, Hyperion, the embodiment of light, Iapetus, the father of humankind, and Mnemosyne, the Titaness of memory, each played pivotal roles in this new cosmic order. Together, they ushered in an epoch known as the Golden Age, a time of unparalleled peace and prosperity. Cronus, as king, wasn't a tyrant like his father. Instead, he fostered an era where the earth yielded bountiful harvests without toil, and humanity lived in blissful harmony with the gods. This golden age wasn't just a mythological ideal, it reflected a longing for a simpler, more harmonious existence. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic reign, the seeds of future conflict were quietly germinating. The Titans, despite their unity in overthrowing Uranus, harbored individual ambitions and desires. Cronus's paranoia, fueled by the prophecy of his own downfall, began to cast a shadow over the Golden Age, ultimately leading to the very events he sought to prevent. Now the stage is set to explore the union between Cronus and his sister Rhea, a pivotal moment that would determine the fate of the Titan dynasty. The third legend focuses on Cronus and Rhea's marriage, a cornerstone of the Titan dynasty. Cronus's union with Rhea, his sister, wasn't merely a matter of love or companionship. It was a strategic alliance, a consolidation of power within the Titan lineage. In ancient Greek mythology, such sibling marriages among deities were not uncommon. They served to keep divine bloodlines pure and power concentrated. Rhea, in her own right, was a formidable Titaness embodying fertility, motherhood, and generation. Her union with Cronus was destined to produce offspring who would shape the world. This divine couple brought forth the first generation of Olympian gods, though Cronus's actions would tragically alter their fate. Their children included Hestia, goddess of the hearth, Demeter, goddess of agriculture, Hera, goddess of marriage, Hades, god of the underworld, Poseidon, god of the sea, and Zeus, the eventual king of the gods. The births of these deities marked a significant chapter in mythological history, yet each birth was followed by horror, driven by Cronus's fear of a prophecy. This prophecy foretold that one of his own children would overthrow him, mirroring his own rebellion against his father, Uranus. Haunted by this grim prediction, Cronus made a fateful decision to swallow each of his children immediately after their birth, a desperate attempt to subvert fate and maintain his dominion. This act, though brutal, underscored the immense power and paranoia that defined Cronus's reign, setting the stage for a conflict that would shake the foundations of the cosmos. The tale now shifts to the chilling prophecy that drove Cronus to such extreme measures, forever altering the course of his dynasty. Turning to the foretold destiny that shadowed Cronus's reign, we find the crux of his tragic choices. The prophecy of overthrow wasn't merely a prediction. It was a Damoclean sword hanging over Cronus, dictating his every action and fueling his deepest fears. This prophecy, whispered by Gaia, his mother, declared that just as Cronus had dethroned his father, so too would one of his own children rise to usurp his power. The idea of losing his hard-won authority was unbearable to Cronus, who had clawed his way to the top through patricide and relentless ambition. This fear became the lens through which he viewed his offspring, not as heirs to his legacy, but as potential threats to his existence. His drastic measure of swallowing his children was not just an act of cruelty, but a desperate attempt to control fate itself. Each swallowed child was a future revolt averted, or so Cronus believed. The emotional toll of these actions, however, was immense, particularly on Rhea. As a mother, her primary instinct was to nurture and protect her children, but she was forced to endure the agony of watching her newborns disappear into the abyss of her husband's stomach. This created a deep rift between Cronus and Rhea, transforming their marital bed into a scene of horror and despair, with each birth renewing her grief and fueling her resentment. Cronus, too, was not immune to the psychological impact. While he saw his actions as necessary for self-preservation, the act of devouring his own children could not be without consequence. It likely fostered a sense of isolation and paranoia, reinforcing his image as a tyrant willing to sacrifice anything, even his own family, to maintain power. His fear-driven actions led to a cycle of violence and despair, further isolating him and setting the stage for his eventual downfall. The stage is now set for the birth of Zeus, an event that would challenge Cronus's desperate attempts to control destiny and introduce a glimmer of hope into Rhea's despair. Amidst this backdrop of dread and deception, a pivotal moment arrives: the birth of Zeus. Rhea, burdened by the loss of her previous children and desperate to save her newest offspring, conceived a daring plan. When Zeus was born, she secreted him away to the island of Crete, a sanctuary far from Cronus's watchful eyes. The infant Zeus was hidden in a cave on Mount Ida, where he would be raised in secrecy, safe from his father's ravenous appetite. To deceive Cronus, Rhea wrapped a large stone in baby clothes and presented it to him as the newborn Zeus. Unsuspecting, Cronus swallowed the stone whole, believing he had once again averted the prophecy. This act of deception was not merely a trick. It was a profound act of defiance against tyranny and a testament to a mother's love and determination. The stone swallowed by Cronus became a symbol of his blind, fear-driven actions and his inability to see beyond his paranoia. It represented his failure to understand that power gained through fear and violence is ultimately hollow and self-destructive. Meanwhile, the hidden Zeus grew stronger both physically and in spirit, nurtured by the earth of Crete and the promise of a future where justice and order would prevail. The birth of Zeus and his subsequent concealment marked a turning point in the cosmic order. It was the first crack in Cronus's seemingly impenetrable armor, the seed of his eventual downfall. The stage was set for Zeus to emerge as a force capable of challenging Cronus's authority, offering hope to the oppressed and signaling the dawn of a new era for gods and mortals alike, thus setting the stage for Zeus's formative years, crucial in shaping the leader he was destined to become. The sixth legend, exploring Zeus's childhood in secret, reveals a nurturing environment crucial to his development. Hidden away in the Dictaean cave on Mount Ida, Zeus was under the protection of Gaia, the earth goddess, who ensured his safety and well-being. The nymphs Adrasteia and Ida were tasked with raising him, attending to his every need with gentle care and unwavering devotion. They nourished him with honey and the life-giving milk of the goat Amalthea, whose horn, according to legend, could provide unending sustenance, becoming the cornucopia, a symbol of abundance and prosperity. Amalthea played a pivotal role, not only as a source of nourishment but also as a maternal figure, offering comfort and affection to the young god. To conceal Zeus's presence from Cronus, the Curetes, mythical warriors, performed a perpetual, frenzied dance, clashing their shields and shouting loudly to mask the baby's cries. This constant commotion ensured that Cronus, even if he suspected something, would be unable to pinpoint the exact location of his hidden son. The cave itself was a sanctuary of natural beauty, filled with lush vegetation and echoing with the sounds of nature, creating a haven where Zeus could grow in strength and wisdom, shielded from the dangers of the outside world. This upbringing was not merely about physical protection, it was a period of profound learning and preparation. Surrounded by the wisdom of Gaia and the nurturing care of the nymphs, Zeus developed the qualities that would later define him as a leader. He learned about compassion, justice, and the importance of protecting those in need. The idyllic setting of his childhood instilled in him a deep appreciation for the natural world, shaping his understanding of the delicate balance between order and chaos. This formative period also fostered a sense of destiny within him, a conviction that he was meant for something greater. Growing up in secret, knowing the truth of his lineage and the prophecy that awaited him, instilled in Zeus a sense of purpose and determination. He understood that one day he would have to confront his father and reclaim his rightful place as the ruler of the cosmos. Thus, Zeus's hidden childhood was not a time of mere survival. It was a crucible that forged the future king of the gods, preparing him for the challenges and responsibilities that lay ahead. As Zeus thrived in his hidden sanctuary, the seeds of revolution were sown, setting the stage for the inevitable clash with his father and the rise of a new order. Now, the narrative shifts to the plan that would bring Zeus face to face with his father, a scheme as daring as it was essential. The seventh legend, focusing on the emetic plan, unveils Zeus's daring strategy to confront his father, Cronus. Upon reaching adulthood, strengthened by his upbringing in the Dictaean cave, Zeus knew the time had come to fulfill the prophecy and challenge Cronus's tyranny. He sought the aid of Metis, the Titan goddess of wisdom and strategic thinking, who devised a cunning plan to force Cronus to regurgitate his swallowed offspring. Metis brewed a potent emetic, a mixture designed to induce vomiting, which Zeus then presented to Cronus. Disguised as a cupbearer, Zeus infiltrated Cronus's court and offered him the concoction. Unsuspecting of the true nature of the drink, Cronus consumed it, believing it to be a simple beverage. Soon after, the emetic took effect, causing Cronus to violently expel the children he had swallowed years before. First came the stone which Re had given Cronus in place of Zeus, followed by the fully grown gods, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Emerging from their father's belly, they were filled with a mix of relief, gratitude, and righteous fury. This act of regurgitation was not merely a physical event, it was a symbolic rebirth. The gods who had been trapped in the darkness of Cronus's stomach were now free to reclaim their divine identities and challenge his rule. The release of Zeus's siblings marked a turning point in the cosmic order, signaling the end of the Titans' dominance and the dawn of a new era for the Olympian gods. The dramatic scene of Cronus vomiting forth his offspring served as a powerful visual representation of the reversal of fortune. The gods, once victims of Cronus's paranoia and cruelty, now stood united against him, ready to wage war for their freedom and the fate of the universe. This pivotal moment ignited the Titanomachy, the epic 10-year war between the Titans and the Olympians, forever changing the landscape of Greek mythology. As the newly liberated gods prepared for battle, the stage was set for a conflict that would determine the future of gods and mortals alike. The eighth legend, recounting the Titanomachy, plunges us into the heart of the decade-long war between the Titans and the Olympians. With Cronus as their formidable leader, the Titans, established rulers of the cosmos, prepared to defend their dominion against the newly freed Olympian gods. Cronus, drawing upon his vast experience and strategic acumen, rallied his Titan brethren, including powerful figures like Atlas, known for his immense strength, and Prometheus, revered for his foresight. Together, they fortified their positions atop Mount Othrys, a strategic stronghold that served as the Titans' base of operations. In stark contrast, the Olympian gods, led by the indomitable Zeus, ascended to the heights of Mount Olympus, a majestic peak that would become synonymous with their reign. Zeus, armed with his thunderbolt forged by the Cyclopes, inspired his siblings, each possessing unique powers and abilities. Poseidon wielded his trident, capable of summoning earthquakes and controlling the seas, while Hades commanded the underworld, striking fear into the hearts of even the most formidable Titans. Backed by allies such as the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires, giants with 100 hands each, the Olympians launched a relentless assault against Cronus and the Titans. The ensuing war was a cataclysmic clash of divine powers, reshaping the very fabric of the cosmos. Mountains crumbled, oceans boiled, and the heavens reverberated with the thunderous roars of gods and Titans locked in fierce combat. Despite their initial advantage and Cronus's strategic prowess, the Titans gradually succumbed to the Olympians' combined might and cunning. Zeus's thunderbolts tore through the Titans' ranks, while Poseidon's seismic attacks shattered their defenses. Ultimately, after 10 years of unrelenting warfare, the Olympians emerged victorious, ushering in a new era of divine rule. The defeat of Cronus and the Titans marked a pivotal moment in Greek mythology. Cronus's reign of terror came to an end, paving the way for the Olympian gods to establish their dominion over the cosmos. As the dust settled on the battlefield, the fate of Cronus and his Titan allies remained to be decided, setting the stage for the next chapter in their legendary saga. Following the crushing defeat in the Titanomachy, the ninth legend unveils the grim fate that awaited Cronus and his Titan allies: imprisonment in Tartarus. Zeus, now the undisputed ruler of the cosmos, decreed that Cronus and many of the defeated Titans would be banished to the deepest, darkest abyss of the underworld. Tartarus, a primordial and nightmarish realm, served as the ultimate prison for those deemed a threat to the new cosmic order. Far removed from the realms of gods and mortals, it was a place of eternal darkness, torment, and isolation. The descent into Tartarus was a harrowing experience for Cronus and the Titans. Bound in unbreakable chains forged by Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith, they were dragged down into the abyss by the Hecatoncheires, the 100-handed giants who had sided with the Olympians during the war. The symbolic meaning of their imprisonment is profound. Tartarus represents the ultimate form of confinement, a place where power is extinguished and potential is forever suppressed. By casting Cronus and the Titans into this abyss, Zeus asserted his authority, ensuring that the old order would never rise again to challenge the reign of the Olympians. Furthermore, the imprisonment of the Titans had a significant impact on the cosmic order. With Cronus and his allies removed from the equation, Zeus and the Olympians could establish their rule without fear of immediate reprisal. The cosmos was now governed by a new set of laws and principles, ushering in an era of relative stability and progress. However, the imprisonment of the Titans did not signify the end of their influence. In the depths of Tartarus, they continued to plot and scheme, nurturing dreams of vengeance and plotting their eventual escape. Their presence in the abyss served as a constant reminder of the potential for chaos and disorder lurking beneath the surface of the Olympians' carefully constructed world. With the Titans imprisoned, a question lingers: what did Cronus's reign truly represent? Exploring what Cronus's reign truly represented, we uncover the myths of Cronus's role in the Golden Age, a time of unparalleled peace and abundance. During Cronus's rule before his fall, the world was said to have experienced a period of perfect harmony. This era, idealized in Greek mythology, was marked by fertile lands that yielded bountiful harvests without labor and a society free from strife and disease. Mortals lived to a great age in perpetual youth and joy, untouched by the woes that would later plague humanity. The Golden Age was not just a time of material prosperity, but also one of spiritual fulfillment. Justice prevailed, and there was no need for laws or punishments, as people naturally acted with kindness and righteousness. This utopian vision stood in stark contrast to the ages that followed, each marked by increasing levels of corruption and suffering. As the ages of silver, bronze, and iron succeeded the Golden Age, humanity descended further from this original state of grace. The concept of the Golden Age under Cronus serves as a powerful symbol of an idealized past, a lost paradise that humanity forever yearns to reclaim. It represents a longing for simpler times, free from the complexities and hardships of modern life. The myths of the Golden Age also offer a critique of contemporary society, highlighting the values that have been lost and the potential for humanity to return to a more harmonious way of living. In many ways, the Golden Age became a standard against which later societies were judged. Philosophers and poets look back to this era as a model for how human life could be lived at its fullest potential. It's a reminder of the possibilities for peace and prosperity when society is in balance. With the understanding of Cronus's reign during the Golden Age, the association with agriculture and harvest comes next. Turning our attention to Cronus's enduring symbols, we can examine Cronus's association with agriculture and the harvest. Cronus is not solely a figure of cosmic upheaval and tyrannical rule, but also deeply connected to the Earth's bounty. This connection is largely symbolized through the sickle, the very tool he used to castrate Uranus, his father. However, this act of violence surprisingly transformed the sickle into an emblem of harvest and renewal. The sickle, initially a symbol of rebellion and the end of Uranus's reign, evolved over time to represent the reaping of crops, suggesting a cyclical view of time and nature where endings lead to new beginnings. In agricultural terms, the sickle is essential for gathering the harvest, ensuring survival through the provision of food. Cronus, in this context, embodies the power to both end and sustain life. This reflects the duality inherent in many ancient deities associated with the earth. The act of harvesting with a sickle also carries symbolic weight, representing the culmination of growth and the promise of future planting seasons. It's a ritual that acknowledges death in the sense of cutting down the old, but also celebrates the life-giving properties of the earth, ensuring continued fertility. The association of Cronus with the harvest highlights a profound understanding of the natural world, where destruction and creation are intertwined. This perspective suggests that even the most violent acts can lead to fruitful outcomes, embedding Cronus in the agricultural cycle as a god who oversees both the sowing and reaping of rewards. Next would be understanding how Cronus's legacy also extends into Roman mythology, where he is known as Saturn. Exploring Cronus in Roman mythology, we find his transformation into Saturn, a figure deeply interwoven into the fabric of Roman culture, yet bearing a distinctive evolution from his Greek origins. While Cronus of Greek myth is primarily known for his violent acts and eventual defeat, Saturn in Roman mythology takes on a more nuanced persona, particularly celebrated during the Saturnalia festival. This festival, held in December, was a time of unrestrained joy, feasting, and social inversion, where societal norms were temporarily suspended. During Saturnalia, slaves were granted temporary freedom and were even served by their masters, mirroring the legendary Golden Age under Saturn's rule when all were equal and life was abundant. This period evoked a nostalgic return to a mythical time of peace and prosperity. The Temple of Saturn in the Roman Forum housed the state treasury, reflecting Saturn's association with wealth, plenty, and good governance. This contrasts with the Greek myths, where Cronus's rule is remembered more for its dread and instability. Romans looked back to Saturn's reign as a utopian era, associating him with agricultural prosperity and social harmony. The Saturnalia festival underscores this positive interpretation, celebrating abundance and equality, elements less emphasized in the Greek depictions of Cronus. Saturn's influence extended beyond the festival, impacting Roman law, agriculture, and social structure, shaping Roman identity and values in profound ways. Shifting focus, we now turn to Cronus and the Cyclopes, figures closely tied to his reign and subsequent downfall. Turning our attention to another significant episode in Cronus's reign, we'll now explore the myths of Cronus imprisoning the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires in Tartarus. These powerful beings, the Cyclopes, known for their singular eye and immense strength, and the Hecatoncheires, giants with 100 hands and 50 heads, were instrumental in Uranus's rule. However, upon seizing power, Cronus, driven by fear and paranoia, made a fateful decision that would sow the seeds of his own destruction. He cast these beings into the depths of Tartarus. This act of tyranny was not merely a display of power, it was a strategic move to eliminate potential threats to his rule. The Cyclopes possessed the divine skill to forge weapons of immense power, and the Hecatoncheires had unparalleled strength, making them formidable allies or enemies. By imprisoning them, Cronus believed he was securing his dynasty. However, this decision proved to be short-sighted as it alienated beings who could have been powerful allies. Their imprisonment deprived the Titans of crucial support during the Titanomachy, the great war between the Titans and the Olympians. When Zeus eventually freed the Cyclopes from Tartarus, they crafted the iconic weapons for the Olympian gods: Zeus's thunderbolt, Poseidon's trident, and Hades's helm of darkness. These weapons turned the tide of the war, leading to the Titans' defeat and Cronus's own downfall. Thus, Cronus's act of imprisoning the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires serves as a stark lesson in the dangers of short-sightedness. Now, let's consider the symbolism of Cronus's sickle, a tool of both creation and destruction. The symbolism of Cronus's sickle extends far beyond its literal function as a tool or weapon, embodying profound concepts of power, rebellion, and transformation. In Greek mythology, the sickle first appears as the instrument Cronus uses to castrate his father, Uranus, thus ending his tyrannical rule and ushering in a new cosmic order. This act is not merely one of violence, but a revolutionary assertion of dominance, marking the transition from the old god to the new. As such, the sickle becomes a potent symbol of rebellion against established authority, representing the overthrow of oppressive power structures. Its curved blade suggests a cutting away or severing, symbolizing the decisive end of one era and the beginning of another. The sickle's association with agriculture further enriches its symbolism. As a harvesting tool, it represents the reaping of what has been sown, linking it to cycles of growth, death, and rebirth. In this context, the sickle signifies not just destruction, but also the potential for renewal and transformation. Cronus, as a god of the harvest, embodies this duality, representing both the end of the old and the promise of the new. The sickle's recurring presence in myths, both Greek and Roman, underscores its significance as a cultural symbol. In Roman mythology, Saturn, Cronus's counterpart, is often depicted with a sickle, reinforcing his connection to agriculture and time. The Saturnalia festival, a celebration of the harvest, reflects the sickle's association with abundance and prosperity. Moreover, the sickle's shape is reminiscent of the crescent moon, further linking it to cycles of time, as well as the waxing and waning of power. This lunar connection highlights the idea that power, like the moon, is subject to change and transformation. The sickle, therefore, is not just a tool of destruction but a symbol of the cyclical nature of existence, in which endings inevitably lead to new beginnings. These intertwined themes of power, rebellion, and transformation imbue the sickle with a depth of meaning that resonates throughout mythology and beyond. Now, with this understanding in place, we can delve into Cronus's later association with Chronos, the personification of time. Legend 15, Cronus and the concept of time, explores the transformation of Cronus from a Titan king into a symbol of time itself, as he became increasingly associated with Chronos. This association, which developed over time, fundamentally altered the perception of Cronus, imbuing him with new layers of meaning related to temporality, destiny, and the relentless march of time. The conflation of Cronus and Chronos is not immediately apparent in early Greek myths, where Cronus is primarily depicted as a powerful Titan who overthrew his father and ruled during a golden age. However, as philosophical and cosmological thought evolved, so did the understanding of Cronus. The similarity in their names, Cronus and Chronos, which are spelled similarly in Greek, facilitated this merging of identities. Chronos, as the personification of time, represents the continuous and irreversible flow of moments, the cycle of birth, life, and death, and the inescapable nature of existence within time. When Cronus became linked to Chronos, he inherited these attributes. This new interpretation of Cronus as time influenced how his myths were understood. His act of swallowing his children, for instance, could be seen as a metaphor for time consuming all things, an idea that aligns with the perception of time as an all-devouring force. This perspective adds a layer of tragic inevitability to Cronus's actions, framing him not merely as a paranoid king, but as a personification of time's destructive power. Moreover, the association with Chronos transformed Cronus into a symbol of change. Time is inherently linked to change, as it brings about the constant transformation of everything in the universe. Cronus, as the embodiment of time, thus represents the inevitability of change and the transient nature of all things. This interpretation adds a philosophical dimension to his myths, inviting contemplation on the impermanence of power, life, and the cosmos itself. The legacy of Cronus as Chronos extends beyond ancient Greece, influencing later philosophical and artistic representations of time. In Renaissance art, for example, Chronos is often depicted as an old man with a beard carrying a scythe, which is a direct reference to Cronus's sickle. This image reinforces the connection between Cronus and the relentless, cutting edge of time. Understanding Cronus as Chronos offers a deeper appreciation of his symbolic significance. He is not just a figure from mythology, but a representation of fundamental aspects of human existence such as time, change, and destiny. His myths, therefore, serve as a meditation on the nature of time and its impact on the world. With Cronus now linked to the very essence of time, we can transition to exploring his role in the lesser-known Orphic tradition and how these myths present a different facet of the Titan King. Transitioning from the concept of time, the Orphic tradition offers a unique lens through which to view Cronus, presenting him as more than just a tyrannical king. In Orphic myths, Cronus takes on a far more complex role, one that occasionally associates him with the very act of creation and the cyclical nature of the cosmos itself. This contrasts sharply with the more widely recognized narratives of Greek mythology, where Cronus is primarily known for his brutal actions and eventual defeat. The Orphic tradition, a mystical and philosophical religious movement in ancient Greece, presented alternative accounts of the origins of the gods and the universe. In these accounts, Cronus is not merely a figure of destruction, but is sometimes depicted as a primordial being linked to the creation of the cosmos. This version of Cronus is often associated with Aeon, the god of eternity and cyclical time, further emphasizing his connection to cosmic processes. One key difference between Orphic and mainstream Greek mythology lies in the portrayal of Cronus's actions. While the standard myths focus on his act of swallowing his children as a means of preventing his own downfall, Orphic stories sometimes interpret this act as a necessary stage in the cosmic cycle. In some Orphic texts, the swallowing and subsequent regurgitation of his offspring are seen as symbolic of the cyclical processes of creation and destruction, essential for the renewal of the universe. Moreover, Orphic myths often elevate Cronus to a position of greater importance in the cosmic hierarchy. In some versions, he is depicted as a ruler of the cosmos before Zeus, but with a more nuanced and less tyrannical approach to his dominion. This Cronus is not simply overthrown. Instead, he willingly yields his power to Zeus as part of the unfolding cosmic order. This interpretation suggests a more cooperative and less confrontational relationship between the generations of gods. The Orphic tradition also delves into the allegorical meaning of Cronus, interpreting him as a symbol of the hidden or mysterious aspects of the divine. His association with cycles and eternity places him beyond the reach of ordinary human understanding, making him a figure of profound cosmic significance. The Orphic Cronus invites contemplation on the mysteries of existence, the nature of time, and the cyclical patterns that govern the universe. Thus, the Orphic tradition offers a richer, more multifaceted understanding of Cronus than the standard Greek myths. By associating him with creation, cosmic cycles, and the mysteries of time, the Orphic Cronus becomes a figure of philosophical depth and symbolic resonance. The Orphic myths surrounding Cronus highlight the diverse interpretations of mythological figures in ancient Greece, reflecting the complex religious and philosophical landscape of the time. Shifting away from these creation-oriented roles, let's now consider what happened when Cronus was released from his prison, Tartarus, and what legends say about his rule over the Isles of the Blessed. The release of Cronus from Tartarus and his subsequent rule over the Isles of the Blessed present a fascinating contrast to his earlier tyranny and imprisonment. According to some myths, after Zeus and the Olympians had firmly established their dominion, Cronus was freed from his dark prison. Instead of seeking revenge or further conflict, he was appointed as the ruler of the Isles of the Blessed, a paradisiacal realm reserved for the souls of heroes and virtuous individuals. The Isles of the Blessed, also known as the Fortunate Isles, were envisioned as a sanctuary of eternal peace and happiness. Located in the far west, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, these islands were said to enjoy a perpetual springtime with fertile lands, gentle breezes, and abundant harvests. It was a place where mortals who had lived exceptionally righteous lives could escape death and enjoy everlasting bliss. The notion of Cronus, the former Titan king, governing such a utopian domain carries significant implications. It suggests a form of redemption or reconciliation, where the once fearsome and oppressive ruler is transformed into a benevolent guardian. This transformation could be interpreted as a reflection of the cyclical nature of power and the potential for even the most tyrannical figures to find a path toward justice and compassion. Moreover, Cronus's rule over the Isles of the Blessed implies a certain level of divine forgiveness. Despite his past transgressions, including the act of swallowing his own children, he is granted a position of honor and responsibility. This act challenges the conventional portrayal of Cronus as a purely villainous figure, adding layers of complexity to his character. Furthermore, the myth of Cronus in the Isles of the Blessed may reflect a broader cultural belief in the possibility of atonement and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. It offers a hopeful vision of a world where even the most flawed individuals can find redemption and contribute to the well-being of others. This narrative may have served as a source of inspiration and comfort for the ancient Greeks, reinforcing their values of justice, piety, and the pursuit of a virtuous life. The story of Cronus's release and his rule over the Isles of the Blessed is a testament to the enduring power of mythology to explore complex themes and offer alternative perspectives on familiar narratives. It invites us to reconsider our understanding of Cronus, not merely as a symbol of tyranny and destruction, but as a figure capable of change and ultimately worthy of a place in paradise. While the myths about his potential redemption offer a glimmer of hope, let's now turn our attention to how Cronus has been depicted in art and literature throughout history, seeing how these portrayals reflect and shape our understanding of this complex figure. Turning our view from myth to media, depictions of Cronus in ancient art offer a fascinating lens through which to understand his evolving image. In vase paintings and sculptures, Cronus is often portrayed as a powerful, bearded figure, sometimes wielding his signature sickle. These artistic representations capture his role as the Titan king and the instigator of cosmic upheaval. Ancient Greek vase paintings, particularly those from the 6th and 5th centuries before the Common Era, frequently depict scenes from the Titanomachy, the epic battle between the Titans and the Olympian gods. While Cronus himself may not always be the central figure in these depictions, his presence is often implied through the imagery of clashing titans and divine warfare. These artworks served not only as decorative pieces but also as visual narratives, reinforcing the myths and legends that were central to Greek culture. Sculptures of Cronus are less common than vase paintings, but when they do appear, they emphasize his regal bearing and formidable presence. These sculptures often portray him with a stern expression, reflecting his role as the ruler of the Titans and the father of the Olympian gods. The use of marble or bronze in these sculptures further enhances his sense of power and authority. Throughout history, the myths of Cronus have also inspired writers and artists to explore the complexities of his character and his role in Greek mythology. In classical literature, such as Hesiod's Theogony, Cronus is depicted as a central figure in the cosmic drama of the rise of the Olympian gods. These literary portrayals have shaped our understanding of Cronus as a symbol of tyranny, rebellion, and the cyclical nature of power. In later periods, artists and writers have continued to draw inspiration from the myths of Cronus, reinterpreting his story in various ways. Renaissance painters, for example, often depicted scenes from Greek mythology, including the overthrow of Uranus by Cronus and the swallowing of his children. These artworks reflect a renewed interest in classical themes and a desire to explore the psychological and emotional dimensions of the myths. In modern literature and art, Cronus has been portrayed as a more complex and ambiguous figure, reflecting contemporary concerns about power, authority, and the human condition. Some writers have reimagined Cronus as a tragic hero, grappling with the burden of his destiny and the consequences of his actions. Others have focused on the psychological impact of his tyrannical rule, exploring themes of fear, control, and generational conflict. As we consider the broad influence of Cronus, let's explore how Cronus and the constellation Capricorn are related, and how this celestial association reflects his mythological significance. Transitioning from art to astrology, let's explore the celestial connections linked to Cronus, specifically his association with the zodiac sign Capricorn. The constellation Capricorn is often depicted as a sea goat, a mythical creature with the body of a goat and the tail of a fish. While the direct connection between Cronus and Capricorn is not explicitly stated in early Greek mythology, later interpretations and syncretic traditions have linked the Titan king with this zodiac sign. The association of Cronus with Capricorn likely stems from the Roman adaptation of Cronus as Saturn, who was strongly associated with agriculture, time, and cyclical renewal. Capricorn as a zodiac sign is also associated with these themes. The sea goat's dual nature, combining terrestrial and aquatic elements, symbolizes the ability to navigate both the physical and emotional realms. This duality can be seen as reflective of Cronus's complex character, embodying both his tyrannical rule and his eventual role in the Isles of the Blessed. In astrology, Capricorn is often associated with qualities such as ambition, discipline, responsibility, and a strong work ethic. These traits can be connected to Cronus's relentless pursuit of power and his role as the ruler of the Titans. Just as Cronus sought to maintain his dominion over the cosmos, those born under the sign of Capricorn are often driven by a desire to achieve success and leave a lasting legacy. The symbolism of Capricorn also resonates with the themes of time and cyclical renewal that are associated with Cronus. The sea goat's journey from the depths of the ocean to the heights of the mountains can be seen as a metaphor for the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. This aligns with the later association of Cronus with Kronos, the personification of time, reinforcing the idea of Cronus as a symbol of cosmic cycles and the inevitable passage of time. Moreover, the connection between Cronus and Capricorn reflects the broader influence of mythology on astrology and the ways in which ancient myths have been integrated into various cultural and symbolic systems. By associating Cronus with a specific constellation, astrologers and mythographers have sought to further understand his character and his role in the cosmic order. The link provides another lens through which to interpret his actions, motivations, and enduring legacy. With the celestial connections of Cronus explored, we turn now to how Cronus's myths have influenced modern literature, film, and popular culture. Moving into the modern era, the echoes of Cronus reverberate through contemporary literature, film, and popular culture. His myths, laden with themes of power, rebellion, and generational conflict, offer fertile ground for artistic interpretation and adaptation. Though not always directly named, the influence of Cronus can be seen in narratives that explore the complexities of tyrannical rule and the struggle against oppressive forces. In literature, the character of Cronus has inspired authors to create compelling figures who embody his traits of ambition, paranoia, and control. These characters often find themselves grappling with the consequences of their actions, mirroring the tragic arc of Cronus and his eventual downfall. Whether it be a power-hungry king, a ruthless CEO, or a manipulative politician, the shadow of Cronus looms large in the depiction of individuals who seek to dominate others. Film and television have also drawn upon the myths of Cronus to explore themes of power and rebellion. The story of a young hero rising up against an older, established authority figure is a common trope that can be traced back to the myth of Zeus overthrowing Cronus. These narratives often portray the struggle between generations, with the younger generation challenging the status quo and seeking to create a better world. In popular culture, the name Cronus has been adopted for various products, brands, and fictional entities, reflecting his enduring presence in the collective consciousness. From video game characters to science fiction villains, Cronus serves as a symbol of strength, ruthlessness, and the relentless pursuit of power. This reflects our ongoing fascination with the darker aspects of human nature and the timeless struggle between order and chaos. The enduring presence of Cronus in modern culture underscores the rich and multifaceted nature of mythology. His myths provide a framework for understanding timeless themes of power, rebellion, and the cyclical nature of history. By exploring these themes through the lens of Cronus's story, artists and storytellers continue to engage audiences and provoke reflection on the human condition. Shifting our focus now, let's delve into a psychological interpretation of Cronus's actions. The 21st legend, the psychological interpretation of Cronus, offers a fascinating perspective on his actions. Viewed through a psychological lens, Cronus's act of swallowing his children becomes a manifestation of deep-seated fears and anxieties. It's not merely a monstrous deed, but a desperate attempt to defy fate and maintain control in a world perceived as inherently threatening. His behavior reflects profound insecurity, driven by the prophecy that one of his offspring would usurp him. This fear translates into a desire for absolute control, not just over his kingdom, but also over the future itself. By swallowing his children, Cronus attempts to negate their potential threat, freezing them in a state of non-existence within his own being. This can be seen as a metaphor for the smothering effect of excessive control, where fear of losing power leads to destructive actions that ultimately undermine his own well-being and legacy. The swallowing of his children also highlights the theme of generational conflict. Cronus's actions can be interpreted as a fear of obsolescence, of being replaced by the next generation. This fear is not uncommon, reflecting anxieties about aging, relevance, and the inevitable shift of power to younger individuals. It's a struggle against the natural order of things, a denial of the cycle of life and death. Furthermore, Cronus's paranoia and distrust extend beyond his own children to the environment. He imprisons the Cyclopes and Hecatoncheires, fearing the combined powers. This behavior shows his deep-rooted anxiety about the outside world and his constant need to suppress any potential threats. His actions demonstrate a profound lack of trust and a belief that power can only be maintained through force and control. In essence, Cronus's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked fear and the destructive nature of absolute control. His actions, driven by psychological insecurities, ultimately lead to his downfall. The psychological interpretation of Cronus allows us to view his myth not just as a story of gods and titans, but as a reflection of universal human struggles with power, fear, and the anxieties of generational change. With these insights in mind, let's turn our attention to how Cronus's reign embodies ancient Greek ideas about leadership and the nature of power itself. Exploring the divine underpinnings of Cronus's kingship, we find a reflection of ancient Greek ideals concerning leadership, authority, and the cyclical patterns inherent in power dynamics. Cronus, as king of the Titans, embodies a particular form of divine ruler, one established through violent overthrow and maintained through fear. This contrasts sharply with later Olympian ideals of justice and wisdom, offering a darker vision of authority. His reign highlights the Greek understanding of power as something inherently unstable and prone to cyclical change. Cronus seized power by castrating his father, Uranus, thereby initiating his rule, but he lived in constant fear of a similar fate. This fear is a key aspect of the cyclical nature of power. The ruler is always vulnerable to being overthrown, just as he himself overthrew his predecessor. This cycle is not just a personal drama, but a cosmic principle in Greek thought. Furthermore, Cronus's behavior exemplifies the concept of hubris, excessive pride or self-confidence that leads to a downfall. His attempt to defy the prophecy by swallowing his children is the ultimate act of hubris, a challenge to fate itself. In Greek tragedies and myths, hubris invariably results in nemesis, divine retribution. Cronus's eventual defeat by Zeus underscores this moral lesson about the limits of even divine power when confronted with destiny. In the context of divine kingship, Cronus represents a transitional figure. He stands between the primordial rule of Uranus and the more ordered, justice-oriented reign of Zeus. Cronus's era is characterized by raw power and fear, while Zeus's reign is marked by law and a sense of cosmic order. This transition reflects a broader evolution in Greek thought from a more primitive, chaotic world view to one emphasizing reason and justice. The legacy of Cronus is a complex one, and it takes an even more interesting turn when we consider the harvest and the cycle of seasons. Moving into the realm of comparative mythology, we can find parallels to Cronus in other cultures, revealing universal themes of creation, destruction, and renewal. One striking comparison can be drawn with the Norse god Odin. Like Cronus, Odin is a complex figure associated with power, wisdom, and a degree of ruthlessness. Cronus swallowed his children to maintain his rule, while Odin sacrificed an eye for wisdom and hung himself on the world tree Yggdrasil to gain knowledge of the runes. Both figures are willing to make extreme sacrifices for power and insight, demonstrating a disregard for conventional morality in their pursuit of greater ends. Another compelling comparison can be made with the Hindu god Shiva. Shiva is part of the Trimurti, the Hindu trinity, representing the forces of destruction and transformation. While Cronus is primarily known for his destructive act of swallowing his children, Shiva embodies destruction as a necessary precursor to renewal. Shiva's destructive dance, the Tandava, is said to bring about the end of the world, but it also clears the way for new creation. Similarly, Cronus's overthrow of Uranus and his attempt to control his destiny can be seen as a destructive act that ultimately paved the way for the Olympian order under Zeus. In both myths, destruction is not an end in itself, but a necessary phase in the cosmic cycle. The common themes of creation, destruction, and renewal are central to understanding these figures. Cronus's act of swallowing his children is a perversion of the creative process, a desperate attempt to halt the cycle of generations and maintain his power. However, this act ultimately leads to his downfall and the rise of Zeus, symbolizing the inevitable triumph of new creation over old order. Odin's sacrifices and Shiva's destructive dances both serve to maintain the cosmic balance, ensuring that creation and destruction remain in equilibrium. These myths, though originating in different cultures, reflect a universal human understanding of the cyclical nature of existence. As we continue our exploration of Cronus, we'll examine how his myths have been portrayed and interpreted throughout history in art and literature. Turning our attention to the moral dimensions, the myths surrounding Cronus offer profound ethical and philosophical lessons that resonate even today. Central among these is the theme of hubris, or excessive pride and self-confidence, which ultimately leads to Cronus's downfall. His insatiable desire to maintain power, coupled with his attempt to defy fate by swallowing his children, exemplifies the dangers of unchecked ambition. Cronus's actions serve as a cautionary tale, illustrating how arrogance and a belief in one's own infallibility can lead to catastrophic consequences. The concept of fate is also a prominent theme in the legends of Cronus. The prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him looms large, shaping his actions and driving him to commit unspeakable deeds. While Cronus attempts to subvert fate, his efforts ultimately prove futile, highlighting the ancient Greek belief in the inevitability of destiny. The myths suggest that while individuals may strive to control their own lives, there are forces beyond their control that will ultimately determine their fate. This theme encourages reflection on the balance between free will and determinism, questioning the extent to which individuals can truly shape their own destinies. The consequences of one's actions are another critical lesson embedded in the stories of Cronus. His act of swallowing his children, driven by fear and a desire for self-preservation, has far-reaching and devastating repercussions. This action not only alienates his wife, Re, but also sets in motion the events that lead to his eventual overthrow and imprisonment. The myths underscore the idea that every action, no matter how well-intentioned, carries consequences that can ripple through time, affecting not only the individual but also those around them. Cronus's fate serves as a stark reminder of the importance of considering the potential ramifications of one's choices and the ethical responsibility that comes with power. As we continue our exploration of Cronus, we'll delve into the enigmatic nature of Cronus, exploring how his myths continue to captivate and inspire curiosity about the ancient world. Legend 25, Cronus's enduring mystery concludes our exploration of the Titan King, leaving us to ponder the many layers of his story. Cronus remains one of the most enigmatic figures in Greek mythology, a character whose actions and motivations continue to inspire debate and fascination. Unlike some gods whose stories offer clear moral lessons, Cronus presents a more complex and ambiguous figure, one who defies easy categorization. His initial act of overthrowing his father, Uranus, can be seen as either a necessary act of liberation or a brutal power grab, depending on one's perspective. His subsequent consumption of his children, while undeniably horrific, stems from a deep-seated fear and an attempt to control his own destiny, raising questions about the nature of power and the lengths to which one will go to maintain it. Even his eventual defeat and imprisonment in Tartarus are not presented as a simple case of good triumphing over evil, but rather as a shift in power from one generation to the next. The myths of Cronus continue to captivate because they touch on fundamental aspects of the human condition. His story explores themes of ambition, fear, destiny, and the cyclical nature of power, all of which remain relevant to contemporary audiences. Cronus's figure invites us to contemplate the complexities of leadership, the burden of responsibility, and the inevitable passage of time. His actions present a mirror reflecting the multifaceted nature of humanity, capable of both great acts of creation and terrible acts of destruction. Moreover, the various interpretations of Cronus across different myths and traditions add to his enigmatic allure. From his role in the Golden Age to his later association with time itself, Cronus embodies a range of ideas and symbols that continue to resonate in art, literature, and popular culture. Whether viewed as a tyrannical ruler, a symbol of agricultural abundance, or a representation of time's relentless march, Cronus remains a figure of endless fascination. The myths we've explored invite us to delve deeper into the stories and uncover new insights into the human condition. Exploring new avenues, let's turn our attention to Cronus's influence on Greek religion, where his myths were deeply interwoven with religious practices and rituals. Although Cronus was not the object of widespread worship in ancient Greece, his presence in the broader religious landscape is undeniable. Certain festivals and traditions bear traces of his influence, reflecting the ancient Greeks' complex relationship with their Titan past. One notable example can be found in the festival of Cronia, celebrated in Athens. Though details about this festival are fragmented, historical sources suggest it was a harvest festival that honored Cronus's association with agriculture and abundance. Cronia typically occurred in the summer around the time of the harvest, hinting at a connection to the Titan's role during the mythical Golden Age when the earth was believed to yield its bounty freely. The festival was characterized by a temporary suspension of social hierarchies, allowing slaves and free citizens to feast together, reminiscent of the egalitarian nature of the Golden Age under Cronus's rule. It's thought that the festival was more popular among the common people than the elite within the Athens. Furthermore, Cronus's influence can be seen in certain agricultural rites and customs. As the Titan associated with the harvest and reaping, images or symbols related to Cronus, particularly the sickle, may have played a part in harvest rituals aimed at ensuring a bountiful crop. While not direct worship, these practices acknowledge the powers associated with Cronus in a way that sought to harness his potential influence over the land's fertility. Moreover, some scholars suggest that Cronus's role as the father of the gods was recognized in oaths and invocations. Though direct prayers to Cronus were rare, invoking his name in the context of family lineage and divine ancestry might have lent weight to religious ceremonies and legal proceedings. In this sense, Cronus functioned as a foundational figure, even if he wasn't actively worshipped. The integration of Cronus into Greek religious practices highlights the Greeks' ability to assimilate and adapt their mythological past into their religious present. This demonstrates flexibility in how they accommodated figures like Cronus, whose complex myths offered both cautionary tales and reminders of a bygone era. Now, shifting our focus, we will analyze the symbolism of Cronus's imprisonment, revealing deeper insights into its meaning. Turning our gaze toward the depths, the imprisonment of Cronus in Tartarus is a profoundly symbolic event, encapsulating far more than just a simple defeat. It represents a critical juncture in the cosmic order, marking the ascendancy of structure and reason over primordial chaos. Cronus, as the Titan king, embodied a transitional phase between the raw, untamed power of Uranus and the more civilized, law-bound reign of Zeus. His confinement within Tartarus symbolizes the suppression of that intermediary state, an era defined by unchecked Titan authority and the swallowing of his own children. Indeed, Cronus's actions, particularly the act of devouring his offspring, are interpreted as an attempt to halt time, to freeze the cycle of generational change and maintain his grip on power indefinitely. This is not merely a tale of a father fearing his children, but a metaphor for the fear of progress and the relentless march of time itself. Tartarus, as the ultimate prison, therefore becomes the symbolic antithesis of Cronus's ambition. It is where the unstoppable force of time, which Cronus sought to control, ultimately confines him. The triumph of the Olympians, led by Zeus, signifies the establishment of a new cosmic order where justice, law, and progress prevail. The imprisonment of Cronus ensures that the old, arbitrary rule gives way to a system where divine power is balanced by principles of fairness and accountability. This transition is crucial for the unfolding of the mythological world, allowing for the rise of heroes, the development of civilization, and the complex interplay of gods and mortals that characterize the Olympian age. Furthermore, the image of Cronus bound within Tartarus serves as a constant reminder of the consequences of unchecked power and the dangers of resisting the natural order. It's a cautionary tale woven into the fabric of Greek mythology, warning against hubris and the attempt to defy destiny. In this sense, the myth of Cronus and his imprisonment becomes a foundational narrative, shaping the values and beliefs of ancient Greek society. Having explored the weight of imprisonment, our exploration of Cronus takes us to a philosophical concept by understanding him as a symbol of cyclical time and eternal recurrence. Transitioning from the depths of Tartarus, we now turn to the concept of Cronus as a symbol of cyclical time and eternal recurrence, venturing into broader philosophical territories. Cronus, often conflated with Chronos, the personification of time, embodies the ceaseless cycle of creation, destruction, and renewal that is fundamental to many mythologies and philosophical traditions. The act of swallowing his children can be interpreted not just as a desperate attempt to retain power, but also as a metaphor for time consuming all things, only for those things to be reborn in a continuous loop. Eternal recurrence, a concept prominently featured in the works of Friedrich Nietzsche, posits that all events in one's life will repeat infinitely across time. Considering Cronus in this light, his actions take on a cyclical quality. Just as he overthrew his father, he was destined to be overthrown himself. This endless cycle of usurpation and defeat mirrors the eternal return, where every triumph and tragedy is doomed to repeat, highlighting the futility of attempting to escape the inherent patterns of existence. In various mythologies and philosophical systems, similar themes emerge. In Hinduism, the cycles of creation and destruction are embodied by deities like Shiva, who both destroys the universe and paves the way for its rebirth. This mirrors Cronus's role as both a bringer of a golden age and a harbinger of its end. Similarly, in Norse mythology, the concept of Ragnarok depicts a catastrophic end followed by the world's renewal, illustrating the cyclical nature of time. The association of Cronus with this cyclical view of time carries profound implications. It suggests that history does not follow a linear path but rather repeats itself, albeit with variations. This perspective challenges the notion of progress as a continuous upward trajectory, instead presenting a view where the past is always present, influencing and shaping the future. Understanding Cronus through the lens of eternal recurrence invites reflection on the nature of existence, the illusion of control, and the acceptance of the inevitable cycles that govern the cosmos and our lives. Having explored the complexities of Cronus and his symbolism, we now turn to Cronus's influence on Greek religious practices and rituals. Concluding our extensive journey through the legends of Cronus, we find a figure of immense complexity, one who defies simple categorization. He is not merely a tyrannical king, but a symbol of the cyclical nature of power, the fearsome aspects of time, and perhaps surprisingly, even a path to understanding and potential redemption. From his dramatic overthrow of Uranus, which marked the dawn of the Titan reign, to his desperate acts of swallowing his own children in a vain attempt to evade prophecy, Cronus embodies raw power and the terror it can inspire. His reign, initially a golden age of peace and prosperity, was ultimately marred by paranoia and violence, illustrating the corrupting influence of unchecked authority. Yet there are layers to Cronus that hint at more than just a power-hungry despot. His association with the harvest through his symbolic sickle connects him to themes of renewal and rebirth. The Orphic traditions, which present a more nuanced view of Cronus, suggest a figure intertwined with the very fabric of cosmic creation. Even the myth of his eventual release from Tartarus to rule over the Isles of the Blessed offers a glimmer of hope, a possibility of atonement, and a peaceful afterlife. Cronus's enduring legacy lies in his multifaceted nature. He remains a potent reminder of the cyclical nature of history, where the oppressed can become the oppressors and the wheel of time continues to turn. His story challenges us to reflect on the nature of power, the fear of the future, and the potential for transformation, even for those who have committed the gravest of acts. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What aspects of Cronus's legends resonated with you the most? Do you see him as a purely villainous figure, or do you find elements of tragedy and perhaps even redemption in his story? Share your thoughts and interpretations in the comments below. And if you're eager to explore more fascinating myths and legends, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you do not miss the next video. There's a whole universe of ancient stories waiting to be discovered. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Cronus, the King of the Titans.